Hello and welcome to this webinar today based around a pack of cards called Questions That Change Your Mind. And you know what? When you do them, you'll find, I'll make a bet, that your mind will change at one level or another. First of all, let me give you a brief history of myself. I'm Andrew Sercombe. I'm director of a company called Power Change. I also own the company, which is very useful. And I teach life-changing principles with enthusiasm and narrow the gap between principle and practice. My number one strapline is men, women, and young people living lives they're proud to own. Although how we do that is also very dependent on each day and who you've got in front of you. A networking group the other day asked me about that, and I said, I create very clever questions and help people to find satisfying and fulfilling answers. And that's what today is about. Today is about a little pack of cards that we've created over the years. In fact, we designed them in 2007, so they've been around for a while, called Questions That Change Your Mind. And I put them on an iPhone app to start with, but in fact, not everybody has iPhones, and so we moved them to a pack of cards, and the pack is here. This is the pack of cards, and it's an amazing little pack. It's got a little rubber band on it that holds it all together, and just so simple. And this is the pack that you have available to you. It's called Questions That Change Your Mind because they are just questions that change your mind. In fact, sometimes you don't even need to answer the question for it to change your mind. Questions are very, very clever things. And as you all know, they spill off into lots of other products that are available from Power Change too. So let me first of all describe what the cards are. They're simple, clean questions that are designed to make you think. Now, when we put these on Trainer's Box, we were aware that not all these questions will be used by trainers in the trainer's context necessarily. However, they are very, very good for taking the participants of your training deeper into themselves. If you are working with people who are fairly superficial, then start using some of these questions, and you'll find that they will be affected by it. They may discover that they want to back off that, say, no, I don't want to do that, thank you very much. However, they will also be affected by them. So let me just give you some examples of the questions, and you'll see, like all Power Change products, they don't do shallow. We've got a little strap line that says we don't do shallow. So here are some of the questions. Where do I limit myself? How can I make life more fun? With whom am I not being rude? What am I unwilling to risk? How can this be easy? You know, somebody says, well, you know, what do you mean, how can this be easy? So what is it, what do you need to be made easier? And how can you make it easy? Who is my hero or heroine? It's a very good one. What seems just beyond my reach? How many people do you know live with things just beyond their reach, and they never really enjoy the satisfaction of completion, which is a very important thing too. Here's another exciting question. Who have I become? Can you see that? Who have I become? And here's the card look. Okay. Who have I become? Do you know, sometimes people look at themselves and they think, I don't like the person I've become. Other people are really excited about the person that they've become. And actually, both those pieces of information are very useful. And in this pack, there are 32 cards, I think. And you're welcome to just download them from the website. So there are the questions. And first of all, I'd like to ask you a question yourself. Do you need somebody to ask you questions that you've not stopped to think about before? Because this pack of questions will do that. One of the things I'm well aware of is that coaches need coaching. And this is a very clever way for you to get some coaching, at least start off the process, because coaching, of course, really needs more than just a pack of cards. It needs people who are going to pay attention to you. So that's what I do with the cards. That's what they are, just simple little cards. We've put them on A4 sheets, and if I show you the A4 sheets, you'll be able to see. Here they are, A4 sheets, and on the back, they look like that. We've got an older version, which looks like that on the back or on the front, but we're probably going to dispense with all the dotted lines, because the dotted lines are slightly irritating and they don't always exactly match. So the new version, which you'll be able to download, is this one here. And of course, what you do is you cut them up on a guillotine or print them off double-sided. Today, when I was doing some, I didn't have the thick enough paper to do them on card, or it didn't go through my computer printer. So what I did is I just got a can of spray paint and a spray adhesive and sprayed them down like that and stuck them together. And this is how they turned out, like this. The new ones I've already done on solid card, so you don't need to worry about that. And then, of course, if you're thinking you're going to just do a few of these, or because once you've got the PDF, of course, you can do as many as you like, hundreds and hundreds. I have got through hundreds of them literally over the years. Then you can laminate them. And this one, you'll probably be able to see it slightly reflecting in the studio lights here. But you can see it's laminated. And of course, that makes them slightly slippery, which can be good. And means they're harder wearing if you're going to use them with a group. This is how I do it. I take the pack like this, or the pack like this, whichever way you want to do it, and I'll say to whoever I'm working with, and very often that's a person in a train, or it's a client, or it's somebody in a workshop, and I'll say, pick a card, any card. And they will pick a card, and of course I don't know what the question is that they're on the other side, and they'll pick the card like this, and I'll say, okay, the question is, and they look at the question, and this particular one says, what am I disowning? Now you see, the immediate answer to that is, oh, I'm not disowning anything. Which brings us to the next single rule that we use with questions that change your mind. And the simple rule is this: you don't say anything for at least 30 seconds. So don't allow the client to say, oh, well, I'm done. You see, don't do that. Just simply say, stop, wait for 30 seconds. And you count the 30 seconds while they look at their card. What we've found is that fast answers are usually shallow answers, and they're not very satisfying. So if you want satisfying answers, you need to wait at least 30 seconds. And in the original packs, we used to have a timer, but it's a bit cumbersome having a timer. So you can use your iPhone or your watch, or simply count to 30 quietly, not counting outside while the person's looking at the question. So that gives you a little idea of the sorts of things and how they work and what you can do with them. And I'd like to actually explain the impact of some of these cards. One of the cards, I was getting some stuff published with a publisher, and I went to see the publisher, and the two owners of the company were a man and wife. And I went to see them and sat down with them, and I wanted to make an impression with them. So I took a pack of cards in my pocket and I hooked them out as I walked in. We sat down. They operate, the small company, that operate from the kitchen table. And we sat down in the kitchen. They'd made us coffee. And they said, so what sort of things do you do, Andrew? And I said, right. So I pulled out my pack of cards, because I'm a coach, of course. I said, pick a card, any card. And the man picked a card. And it was the card, what effect has anger had on me? What effect has anger had on me? And he said, I'm not angry. And I said, that isn't what the question says. The question says, what effect has anger had on me? And he went, my mother. Do you know, we waited for those 30 seconds. And he explained after the 30 seconds that his mother's anger had profoundly bullied him over his life, and he had struggled incredibly badly, making a lot of unwise decisions, although at the time he was in a very well-paid and significant job, which he'd held down for a long time. What he didn't tell me was, well, he told me then, what I didn't know until then, was that 3 days before, him and his wife had decided to split up. They had not been able to sort out the difficulties in their marriage. He had already moved out, had only come back to the house for the appointment with me. And having faced that, because I coached him on the question, how has anger, what effect has anger had on me? And as I did that, he realized that it was his mother's anger that had destroyed his marriage. And the good news is, he didn't leave that night and go back to his flat. He stayed, and he never went back to the flat. He never slept away from home again in that context. And his marriage was back together. In fact, his wife sent me a testimonial to put on my literature, and it says, Andrew Sercombe's coaching saved my marriage in one session. In fact, it was about 5 minutes, but it was one session. And those are the sorts of things that can happen by simply having a completely off-the-wall question that can change a person's mind. Now, as you know, these are being marketed at the present moment at $30 or something. You can just understand that if you want to use these sorts of questions for that sort of amount of time, it will be amazing. You can print them off, you can give them to your friends. All we ask is that you print them off exactly as they are. You don't start making adjustments to them. So you print them off to for your friends, and what an investment. $29.99 for life-changing cards. And each of the 32 questions, I think, can't remember this, hang on, they're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16 times 2, yes, it's 32 questions. Each of those is different. Some of them are lighter, some of them are very deep. Let me give you some others. Here's one, and I bet it's a question that you've never asked yourself. What happens when I am kind? Simple, isn't it? What happens when I am kind? Here's another one. What is it to be creative? There it is. What is it to be creative? How about this one? Here's one for all coaches who sometimes think to themselves, oh, well, I can help other people to be risky, but I'm not sure about myself. And here's the question. What am I unwilling to risk? Now, I'll tell you, there's lots of things in my life that I'm absolutely unwilling to risk. So it's very, very difficult, isn't it? Oh, here's another one. Where am I selling myself short? You see, if you wait for 30 seconds, let's just do that. Where am I selling myself short? "30 seconds. So where are you selling yourself short? That's a pretty important thing to discover, isn't it? Where are you selling yourself short? And the answer is, well, that's the sort of thing that coaching does. See you again in due course. This is Andrew Sercombe signing out. Thank you for listening to me, and well, you can always go and buy those cards, can't you? And just think how much change they'll have, and the effect of them on the people around you and the people who read those questions. Bye for now.